Hi, welcome back to the Positive Prepper. I decided to go for a walk today while I'm recording this video just because it's so beautiful out and it's late enough in the season now there's no mosquitoes. So I'm going to record this, but I'm going to walk while I'm doing it. I hope that's okay. I want to touch really briefly on these 6 points that Sleepy Joe talked about in his press conference, and of course didn't take any questions on. So in Fort McCoy in Wisconsin, where I live, there are 8,700 Afghan refugees that have been brought in so far, and they're making space for a total of 13,000. Now, I don't have an issue with bringing people over here who have helped the United States. You know, I think we owe it to them because we kind of went in there. But my understanding is that they weren't all vetted, although, you know, if you listen to mainstream media and government, they say, well, they were sent to like Germany or Qatar to be vetted. But we don't know if that's true. But regardless, either way, they are not making the vaccine mandatory for any of the refugees that they're bringing over here. But it's mandated for we, the American people. And now we have created a far overreach of government by telling private businesses, if you have over 100 employees, they all have to be vaccinated. At one of our local hospitals, it was announced, I think it was a few days ago, that the vaccine would be mandatory for all healthcare workers. Half of the staff walked out that day. People have had enough. And it's going to get to the point, and this is just my opinion, but I believe it's going to get to the point where if you get Social Security, if you want to get car insurance, health insurance, a home loan, access to your bank account, all of this will be subject to whether or not you have had the vaccine. And obviously, you got to be ready for it. You got to make the choices you're going to make. But we can't be sitting down anymore. We need to be standing up. Enough is enough. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We all know what's going on with it. We all know why, you know, this virus is the Great Deception. If you've seen Shadow Government, the video, then you know what I'm talking about. This is the Great Deception, and unfortunately so many people just keep falling for it. But if you've been paying attention, you know what I'm talking about. You know what you need to do. So the main purpose of this video today was to talk about 9/11. So as I'm sure everybody does, we all remember where we were 20 years ago tomorrow. And it saddens me that 20 years later we're actually, because of this current administration, under even more of a threat. So I just want to give a quick point of interest. 1,800 9/11 victims and survivors, first responders, they do not want Joe to speak at any memorial services tomorrow because he hasn't released the documents that he promised he would that implicated Saudi Arabia in the 9/11 attacks. So I think that's very interesting, and I'm wondering if and where he's going to end up speaking tomorrow. So that's just kind of a side note, if you will. So my opinion about what may or may not happen tomorrow. There's several different possibilities. There could be more centralized attacks on like New York, Washington, D.C. There could be multiple incidences across the country. But whether it happens tomorrow or next week or next month, in my opinion, is irrelevant. And let me explain why I say that. What has me very concerned, more so, I guess, than any attacks that we may face, is the complete idiocracy governing this country right now. And the ineptitude of them being able to function, deter, or confront any attacks that may or may not happen. I think that if something happens, we are definitely going to be left to our own devices. Since Joe squatted in the White House 8 months ago, thousands of people have crossed our southern border. And only God knows what weapons, what gear, what contacts, what technology they have brought across. And I'm talking about the ones who are coming across that absolutely mean to do harm to America. So that, I think, is why I'm saying there is a potential for multiple either attacks or threats throughout the country, because we don't know where they went. Some of these refugees were, as you well know, or not refugees, the illegal border crossers were bused to cities across the country or helicoptered. Who knows? It's a very real thing. The other thing I question is whether or not our power grid would be a prime target. It is unquestionably very vulnerable to attack, whether it's a cyber attack, an EMP, or a physical assault. Our power grid is very vulnerable. They know it, we know it, China knows it. Is that going to possibly, versus a location or locations, is our power grid going to be a target? I don't know, but something to consider. But the reason I'm not as concerned about what the attack actually is or where it actually comes from, look at how Laughing Harris, I'm trying to be kind, has done nothing, has had no clue on how to deal with the horrors that are happening at the border. And then look at how Joe talks about all of these national mandates for COVID to keep our eye off of the complete failure both at the border and because of the tragic situation in Afghanistan. But let's not look over there. Let's look over here, is basically what he's doing. We all know that. So this is why an attack, no matter what happens or when it happens, will undoubtedly, in my opinion, cost more lives and more damage to this country, because we have absolutely zero leadership. We have zero common sense, and we have zero, and by we I mean they, zero concern or care for American people. They would rather protect foreign entities and interests than American people. So that's my opinion about what may or may not happen tomorrow. I am not going to say that nothing's going to happen, because we all know it very well could. We all know it's very highly likely that it will. Whether it happens tomorrow or not remains to be seen. I obviously pray that it doesn't. But the Bible tells us not to live in fear, and we are choosing to live our lives without fear. But our country, our people, our freedom, our way of life is being attacked by our own government. And additional attacks from outside people, probably with inside help, is going to create even more confusion, more fear, and more desperation for people who are already having to deal with so much. And I believe that very fully. I think if we do get attacked, it could be the what do you call it, the shot heard around the world. It could be that catalyst to set this world in complete turmoil. And I think they know that, which is why I also believe that an attack is very possible. So as preppers, you know, not only the normal, like you have to, you know, keep prepping, keep doing what you're doing, sack it to the rafters and stack it again. Sorry, I'm stepping over a tree right now. Ooh, there we go. You also need to figure out who you're going to help in that situation and to what degree. Shortages are going to continue, and if we do get an attack, I very well could see these shortages becoming far, far, far worse. And so you've got to decide, if something happens, how much of your own supplies are you going to be willing to help other people out with? Is that based on the type of attack? Is it based on the amount of attacks? That's something that only you can decide. Okay? But what I would recommend is that you go out today, if you can, if you have the resources, the money, the time, and go get what you need just in case. Remember that prepping is hoping for the best, as we always do, but we're also preparing for the worst. If multiple attacks happen and it throws our country into complete chaos, are you ready for that? What do you need to get? Okay? I don't want you to panic buy. I don't want you to go out and buy 80 cases of toilet paper. That's not what I'm saying. But just prepare. Prepare for you and your family and what you need to get through whatever it is that might happen. Speaking about prepping, my next video is going to talk about, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we are currently under 37 national emergencies that are active. Now, a lot of people, I didn't know this. I thought that a national emergency was sort of a one and done thing, right? Once that emergency had passed, or that threat had passed, we're no longer under that active national emergency. We are under 37 active national emergencies. And I think that has played a role in the government being so far out overreaching. And then I'm also going to talk about the Defense Production Act and how that affects people like us that are prepping. if we still have a country or some semblance of civilization after whenever it hits, right? So these are just my thoughts. You know, there's so much more that I want to say. I'm actually going to be creating a Rumble account so that I can say more of what I actually want to say. I just can't do it on here. I don't feel like I can. So when I do, I will let everybody know so that you can go over there and see additional content that I cannot put on here. So just be prepared. I'm more worried about the ineptitude of our current government than I am about any attacks. I think if something happens, it's going to be far worse just because of who's sitting in the chair right now. So that's my thoughts. I hope you guys are able to go out and enjoy. I'm going to do a circle around here. The woods are so pretty today. But I hope you're able to go out and enjoy the sunshine. Take some time to thank God for your blessings. And just stay safe. Be smart. God bless.